usually begins before you even have words for it, before you understand what emotions mean, before you know that the world can be both gentle and cruel. You learn something quiet but powerful. That peace comes at a price. That love needs to be earned. Maybe you didn't notice it then, but your nervous system did. Each sigh from your parents, each disappointed look, each moment of tension that made your small body tighten up, it was taking notes. It learned a pattern. When they're happy, I'm safe. When they're upset, I'm not. That's where people-pleasing begins. Not as a personality trait, but as a survival strategy. When you're a child, you depend entirely on your caregivers. You can't run away, you can't explain yourself, and you can't regulate your emotions on your own. So when love feels uncertain, your brain starts searching for patterns that lead to safety. It learns, if I stay quiet, things don't explode. If I smile, they stay calm. If I say yes, I get praised. You might think of this as just being a good kid, but your body was memorizing the conditions for safety. Every nod, every forced smile, every I'm fine became a line of code in your emotional operating system. And so you grow up believing that harmony is your job, that your role in any room is to prevent the storm before it arrives. But here's the tragedy. The more you practice keeping peace, the more you lose the parts of yourself that make peace unnecessary. People often mistake people-pleasers for saints, endlessly generous, kind, thoughtful. But under the surface, there's a deeper truth. People-pleasing doesn't come from kindness. It comes from fear. Fear of rejection. Fear of abandonment. Fear that love will vanish if you ever stop performing. You might notice it in small moments. Someone asks for a favor, and even though you're exhausted, you say yes. Someone's upset, and you rush to fix it, not because it's your fault, but because discomfort feels unbearable. You might call it empathy, but it's actually anxiety dressed as compassion. Your nervous system, the same one that learned to stay small for safety, now flares up anytime you sense disapproval. A simple frown can feel like danger. A cold text message can feel like loss. That's not overreacting. That's conditioning. Psychologists describe 4 main trauma responses: fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. The fawn response, or people-pleasing, is the least talked about, but it's just as powerful. When your body perceives emotional threat, you don't argue, fight, you don't escape, flight, and you don't go numb, freeze. You appease. You try to make the other person happy so that the threat disappears. It's the nervous system's way of saying, if I make you love me, I'll be safe. This pattern can continue for decades. Even in adulthood, your brain still connects acceptance with survival. So you keep adapting, keep adjusting, keep disappearing. And because it looks so polite on the outside, few people ever question it. But inside, it's exhausting, living life as an emotional translator for everyone except yourself. There comes a point when people-pleasing stops feeling like kindness and starts feeling like invisibility. You become the reliable one, the listener, the fixer, the person everyone turns to, but no one truly sees. You say, I just care too much. But what you really mean is, I don't know who I am without someone to take care of. And that's the quiet grief of people-pleasing. You spend so much time trying to be what others need that you forget what you need. You build relationships where your worth is tied to your usefulness, where affection is conditional on your compliance. And at first, it works. You feel valued, appreciated, even loved. But deep down, there's a hollow space that never fills. Because love that depends on performance isn't love. It's control wearing a gentle face. Here's the paradox. The moment you start saying no, you'll feel like a bad person. You'll feel guilt, shame, fear. That's because your brain confuses boundaries with danger. To a child who grew up earning peace, saying no feels like breaking the rules of survival. So when you finally do it, when you say no to plans, when you stop apologizing for everything, when you stop fixing everyone's problems, your nervous system panics. It sends you guilt as a warning signal. Careful, you might lose love. But that's not a sign you're doing something wrong. It's a sign you're healing. Healing always feels unfamiliar at first, because you're teaching your body a new definition of safety, one that doesn't depend on other people's moods. No one talks about this enough. Healing from people-pleasing begins with grief. You'll grieve the childhood you didn't get, the one where love didn't have conditions. You'll grieve the relationships that fall apart when you stop performing. You'll grieve the identity you built around being the good one, because that version of you was functional, but it wasn't free. And that grief hurts. It's heavy. It feels like loss. But it's actually the space where your real self begins to grow. Every healthy boundary begins with a heartbreak. The heartbreak of realizing how much of your life was spent trying to earn something that should have been freely given. The truth is, your parents might not have been cruel or neglectful. Many were simply unaware, passing down the same emotional inheritance they received. They thought silence was respect. They thought obedience was love. But as an adult, it's your job to teach yourself a new language. You become the parent your younger self needed. The one who says, "You're safe now. You don't have to earn love anymore." That's called reparenting, showing compassion to the child inside you that still flinches when someone frowns. It means asking yourself before saying yes, am I doing this out of love or out of fear? It means learning to sit with someone else's disappointment without rushing to fix it, because their discomfort isn't your danger anymore. There's a difference between kindness and compliance. Kindness nourishes both people involved. Compliance drains one to keep the other comfortable. To practice real kindness, you must include yourself in the equation. That means giving from fullness, not from emptiness. It means recognizing that saying no can also be an act of love, for yourself, and for the truth. When you stop people-pleasing, you don't become selfish. You become sincere. You stop offering fragments of yourself just to keep others whole. True kindness doesn't mean always keeping peace. Sometimes it means telling the truth that sets everyone free. Real love isn't earned through perfection. It's deepened through honesty. The right people won't vanish when you show your limits. They'll respect them, because love without respect is dependency, not connection. And that's what many people-pleasers never experienced. Love that stays even when you say no. So part of healing is allowing yourself to be loved without performing. It's terrifying at first, because it means revealing the parts of you that don't smile on command. But that's where real connection begins. Because if you never let people see who you are, they can't love who you are. Boundaries are not walls. They're doors with handles on both sides. They don't keep love out, they keep resentment from getting in. Each time you set one, your nervous system learns a new rule. I can disappoint someone and still be safe. I can express my needs and still be loved. It takes practice. You'll mess up. You'll over-explain. You'll apologize for things that don't need apology. That's okay. You're learning to walk after years of crawling. Start small. Say no to things that drain you. Pause before you react to someone's anger. Let silence exist without rushing to fill it. Boundaries are built one breath, one pause, one truth at a time. As you grow, not everyone will celebrate it. Some people liked you better when you didn't have limits, when your comfort was negotiable and your yes was automatic. They might call you distant, difficult, cold. But that's just their discomfort with losing access to your compliance. Don't take it personally. Their reaction doesn't define your worth. It reveals the conditions of their love. The people who truly value you will adapt. They'll respect your no because they trust your yes. They'll understand that love isn't about control. It's about choice. Healing from people-pleasing isn't about changing your personality. It's about reclaiming the parts of you that got buried under politeness. You don't lose your empathy, you refine it. You don't stop caring, you start caring honestly. And somewhere along the way, peace begins to feel different. Not fragile, not something you have to protect, but something you carry within you. You'll notice it in small moments. When you say no without panic, when you express anger without shame, when you rest without explaining why. That's the moment you realize you were never meant to be perfect. You were meant to be whole. Here's the secret truth most people never reach. You can't control whether people love you, but you can choose to love yourself so fully that external approval becomes optional. And when you do, everything changes. You stop performing. You stop apologizing for your truth. You stop confusing peace with silence. Because peace isn't the absence of conflict, it's the presence of authenticity. You begin to understand that love isn't something you earn by being agreeable. It's something you build through honesty, vulnerability, and boundaries. You begin to see that your worth was never tied to how easy you are to love. It was there all along, buried under layers of fear and conditioning, just waiting for you to stop editing yourself. So when the urge to fix, to please, to shrink returns, and it will pause, take a breath. Ask yourself, what does my truth need right now? Then listen, because that quiet voice, the one that trembles but speaks anyway, that's the sound of you coming home. You were never here to be everyone's peace. You were here to be your own. And once you finally are, the right people, the real ones, will meet you there.